And the first life hack will be very simple and quite useful. This will be a DIY tube for your floats. Float guys. Earlier, we once told you how to make a tube from a PVC pipe, like this one. But now we will tell you a method a little bit more. A bit more interesting, so to speak, where each float will be kept separately from the others. A good tube for floats can be made from a piece of plastic, windowsill. That is, when I was installing a windowsill in my house, I saw this piece and realized that there were many different holes there. And you can make a good tube? Every little float will fit here, it turns out. This way, they'll be separate, won't break, and everything will stay intact and unharmed. How do you make it? The tube is almost ready. All we need is to take one side of our tube. Just take it and glue it somehow. With thick tape. We ended up with something like this. Everything is sealed, cool, but we need to make a cover for the top. I took this soft stuff from some kind of insulation, from some kind of transport wrapping. You see, it's like polyurethane foam, and we will also need a couple of small pieces of rubber. You can take either. Office rubber bands will work great too, like these 1, 2, or you can use a thicker rubber band, like the kind used for fishing. So what we're doing is just placing our floats on the base now, so they don't fall out. From the bottom, on top we take this little thing, just cover it up, and then we take an office rubber band and put it over the top. So we ended up with something that you could even call a DIY project, guys, rather than just a life hack for storing floats. If you really want, you can sign here where each float weight is and draw the shape of the floats. So you can see it visually, but basically you can make the top cover however you want. It doesn't have to be the way I'm doing it. Now fishing is really easy. Just remove all this with rubber bands. Take out the one you need, the float you need, and just take out any float. All floats will be intact, will not get tangled, will not hit, will not break. And even if you step on them, sit on them, they will be intact, but nothing will break.
So our next DIY project will be a simple sliding weight made by hand. So for this we will need some scissors, wire, and cotton swabs. So first we take the scissors and cut the ends off our cotton swab. Then we need to take our wire. Do it however is more comfortable for you, so you can hold it with your fingers and take it like this. So we just keep winding and winding. Close together, nice and tight. The more we wind, the more weight we'll have. We got this one for a sliding load, cut it in half, cut off everything unnecessary, and thread the fishing line through it. And here we replace the sinker. This is how we divided our sliding load, and this is how it works. And now I'm going to tell you about a really simple life hack. We were fishing with Sergey, and my grandpa was catching crucian carp while hardly anyone else was getting any bites. And he told us a little trick that we're going to share with you now. So, for this, you'll need regular worms. Here he is, our first guy. Let's take him. He ended up in our hands. That's to the side. And we will need a hook. We take one worm. We break it in half. We'll need one side of it. And here, on this side too. The whole point of this trick is that we take the worm, thread it through first from one side, then from the other. We can also put on more than one worm, like this, in half and about 3 or 4 pieces. Here, for clarity, we took a big hook. So you can understand what kind of bunch we have for the crucian carp and what it usually bites on. The whole point of this bait and this trick is that when you hook this worm and drop it into the water, it releases its juice, thereby attracting fish to it.
Especially large crucian carp?
Yeah. I'm saying, Grandpa caught one right there, we caught another one just like that, Grandpa caught it. These are exactly the kind of bass shoes that weigh about 500 to 600 grams.
In the last life hack compilation, I told you how to make an extractor from a toothbrush. Guys, right now I'm going to tell you how to make an extractor from wire. In this case, I took a fairly thick wire. You need to use a thinner one. Of course, but for clarity, I took a thick wire so that it would be clear to you. Here is our wire. We take a piece, bend it in half, and just make a handle. Well, a handle that will be comfortable for us. We end up with something like this. Now we take it and bend it to the side. Like this. Whoa! We take this edge and just bend it in here. down. Now, here we have our handle almost ready. You can just take the extra edge and bite it off from here. On the other hand, we just make a small loop so that we can thread it through the line and retrieve our hook. Just like this, we simply take it and bend it. That's it. Let's imagine that our hook is deep in the fish's mouth. We take the extractor, thread it onto our line, and lower it into the mouth. And just like that, we've removed our hook. It's all very simple. Guys, it's done.
Well, everyone goes fishing, and especially during night fishing, we need glow sticks. We, like everyone else, can say, like everyone else, break the glow stick completely. But after an hour or two, it dims and loses its brightness. To prevent this from happening, we can do a little life hack with you. Break it gradually. Break one edge, knock, and simply put it on the float. And there on the bells. On these bells, from our homemade product, attach and sit, wait an hour or two, it will lose its light a little, go out, we'll break off another edge. And so this firefly can last for a day or even 2 or 3. If you break the glow stick gradually, it will extend its life.
This is a homemade self-hooking float. The self-hooking float, guys, has come to us from ancient times. It's not that the float instantly hooks the fish by itself, but still, you can make it just with your own hands without any difficulties. For this, we will need Damon, who just sat down with some cookies. This is such a foam thing. Previously, they used foam plastic, they used wood, something floating, other materials. Now we have this kind of foam, and we can really make good use of it. You see, this is a foam mold, or how should I say it? A foam container where cookies are sold. It's wrapped in plastic wrap on top. This is what we will use for self-hooking. Float, well, the base of the float will be a regular float for catching crucian carp, weighing 2 grams. We need to take this thing, and we need to take some kind of coin and trace a circle. Now we need to cut out this circle. So we ended up with this thing, a foam circle. We take our float, and in the center of this circle we put our float in there. You can see the circle, and it moves around easily here. And this will be our base for the self-hooking float. What you need to do, friends, is to take a lighter and gently singe the top of our float a little. We ended up with this little pad, and now our foam circle will rest against it. Now I'll show you how to weight this float and what its whole purpose is. We will weight the float up to the top red antenna, so our little circle will float, just like that. At the moment of the bite, when the fish pulls down, it won't feel the resistance of our circle. The circle will just float freely, right here. When it makes a sharp tug, our float will go down, and the circle will press against the top part of the float on our little flat area that we flattened out, and thus create resistance at the top of the water. And the fish will just hook itself, guys. So it will first pull and feel nothing. Then it will feel the resistance, and suddenly something will stop it. It feels like you've made a little hook set, and that's the whole trick. Self-hooking float. Now we'll show you how this float works. Cast it, Diamond. Let's take a look. So the antenna is sticking out freely, and the circle is floating on top. You see, there are some small bites, and then we get some good bites. The circle presses up, and that's when the hook set happens. The float went under, and right away we see the bites. Both. And look, we see a fish. Who is it, Diamond? A perch. Did a little perch take it? So that's how the self-hooking float works. The next life hack is about how to make a universal bite indicator using a bell and a glow stick. If you have a bell like this, guys, on a clothespin, but you want to make 2 out of 1, 2 right here. You see, I lost one, so I just don't need them. But with a bite indicator, that is, with a firefly, you can do it all very simply in a matter of seconds. All you need for this is 1 bell, a sleeve with a glow stick, a lighter, and just some hot glue. what are we going to do? We're going to take our hot glue. Oh, it's getting hot. We need to rekindle our relationship. Hot glue. And after that, apply a little bit of it to our bell. Now we have hot glue on the bell. Melt it a little and insert it into our sleeve. Our task is to simply glue the bell into the sleeve. Now we take our glow stick and simply thread it through our sleeve. We have such a simple design. Now friends, this simple bell with a firefly can be attached to the top of our fishing rod. So right here, you'll have a visual bite indicator and you'll be able to hear where it's rattling. It's very easy to attach it here. Using electrical tape or a piece of Scotch tape, every fisherman has electrical tape. So please, we take it right in the middle so that it's visible if the rod is moving and our bell is rattling. We tie this up and we end up with a system where everything will be visible and you'll hear it when there's a bite.
Hi, good Tyson. Oh, you're a handsome boy. A good dog.
The next segment will be about how to make a silicone lure non-slippery. So how do we achieve that result so that during casting and bites it doesn't slide off the hook and lasts as long as possible? Here's our silicone lure that we're going to use for fishing. The perch often bites on this, but it tends to slide off like this. So the hook just does that, but it disrupts the integrity of the rig. Our glow sticks will help us with that. Here's this small and transparent sleeve. Our task is to cut this sleeve like this and cut a small strip from this sleeve. Now, using some tool or your hands, we need to thread this sleeve onto our hook. And this sleeve will fit snugly. This is how we do our silicone lure.
So, now I'm going to tell you how to make a stopper by yourself. For this, we will initially need a multi-tool with scissors and a regular fishing nipple. We cut a piece of the nipple. Maybe we cut it before. This is what we ended up with. We have two pieces. We take the end of the line, grab our cut nipple, and simply thread it through, just like we usually do when we put on a float. Here's the small setup we have. It's done. Now we need a match. We take it, we break off the match, and just simply push it in there. And that's how we got our stopper. We push it right in there. And here's the stopper we made. By the way, it's no different from a regular stopper. So, our next life hack is how to make colorful silicone. We have two silicone fish of different colors. We take one fish, we take the second one, we take a knife. We trim it. Here, let's say we have a little gap, we'll cut our silicone along that. Now we have two pieces, and we'll take the second one. Here we have two protective row-ins. It's all very easy. We swap them around, and now we're going to. It's very easy to glue everything together. So, we take our two edges, turn them to the right side, we singe. One as soon as it catches fire. Once again, we singe one as soon as it catches fire. We extinguish them and connect. So we need to let our silicone cool for a couple of minutes. Well, or just press it like that. We can singe it again with a lighter to smooth out all those imperfections that we made the first time. And here we have each reinforced lure ready. And we can indeed simply do the same with our two edges.
Friends, I'm going to show you how to properly attach a glow stick to a feeder tip so that it doesn't interfere with your casts while fishing and nothing gets tangled. Here we have a tip and the glow stick itself. Here is our QR tip, here is our glow stick. We also always have this kind of sleeve included. The first method, guys, is the simplest. We simply thread the sleeve through our QR tip. Yes, sometimes it's tight, but that's why we always buy glow sticks with a larger diameter, because this is not a float. A thick glow stick will always shine longer. And now what do? We simply thread it from the top. Here goes our glow stick. And now when we're fishing with a feeder, we can see everything visually. We see at the very tip, we have the glow stick, but there's a problem. When your line gets tangled here. So, it often happens that the line gets crossed here. And even if you thread the glow stick down like this, You'll always have issues here. So friends, tangling happens and that's not very good. And you can often break the tip of your feeder rod, so to prevent that from happening and to keep your tip intact. Friends, I recommend attaching the glow stick to the feeder tip from both sides. For this, we take scissors and cut our sleeve in half. As I said, we cut the sleeve strictly in the middle into 2 parts. 1, 2, and we're already threading it. 2, sleeves here. 1, 2, they slide through more easily. And now what are we doing? We place the first end of the glow stick here. Just like this. And the second edge is exactly the same. With this placement of the firefly, you and I have nothing to get tangled up in, nothing to get tangled in, and everything will be intact.
Previously, the car was simply held together by one cambric, but then one time I broke the quiver type, and just like that. Sergey showed me this great method, and we've just shared it with you so you can keep your gear safe in the future. Well, that's absolutely true, and now we're going to tell you and show you how we're going to do it.
First of all, we need to take some kind of drill. I have a drill for boilies, and make a small hole on the side. Just like this. We make the second hole on the opposite side. Now we need a coin, in my case 5 kopecks. It fits perfectly right here, at the bottom of the cork. When we attach it here now, our cork will fall. Just like that. The coin goes down because it will create weight. So, what we're doing right now, friends, is we're going to take some kind of knife. In my case, a multi-tool in the bottom of the cork slightly. We scrape like this. Why do we do this woolliness? We do it so that the surface becomes smooth and our coin sticks better here. Our task is to take super glue and stick the coin right here on this cork. For those who don't know, super glue works great on metal, plastic, and even metal to metal. I tried everything. In our case, it will be fine. Just spread super glue here well, spread it well. Now we take the coin, place it on top, hold it, and wait a few minutes for it to set properly. As you can see, our coin is well stuck, and I have already made a small tackle. It is a simple tackle, a hook of centimeters. We retreated 5 and added some shot. We thread the back end of our leader line through here and push it through. On the other side, through the hole, just like that. We ended up with a rig like this and a free leader. As you can see, the cork is constantly turning down, and we will use the hook into our cork. Now I'll show you how this works in practice. We take a bit of our bait mixture, something aromatic, something good, and we pack it into our cork. We fill the cork. So the hook is already set with our bait, which will be a maggot head here. It doesn't matter, we just take it and put it here for the owls. So, this is how it works. When the fish comes along, it starts munching on all this bait, just takes it and sucks in our hook. I'll show you everything up close for clarity. Thick line, thick hook. But if you do everything here carefully, then believe me, with every cast. The fish will bite specifically from the cork rig, because there's a lot of intensity here. Bait, a big spot, and the fish just starts taking it from here. With such a small light rig, you can fish with a cork. Friends, yes, a float rod, not for long distance casting, not for a bottom rig. This is exactly the kind of rig.
So friends, the next DIY project is a loop tire made by hand. You often have to make loops while fishing, connect lines, thread a feeder, and put on leaders. Now, we're going to show you. So, we will need a safety pin and some kind of multi-tool or regular wire cutters, which everyone has. Let's open the safety pin. And from this edge here, OB, we bite it off right at the edge. And what do we need to do to uneven edges? We need to even them out, at least minimally, just by eye. So, we ended up with this thing. So what are we doing next? I think everyone knows how to use pliers. We take a little bit, step back from the edge, and bend our safety pin like this. On one side, and also on the other. This is the construction we ended up with. This is our very own loop tire. Now we're going to show how it works.
How to tie a loop tire. Let's say this is the line, and we need to make a loop. We take it like this, fold it in half, and put it on top. Then, after we've threaded it, we make another double loop and twist it. We put it on top here, and our task is this. Thread the double loop. through our single one so that it goes behind it. It's done like this, ta-da! The safety pin spreads everything out and the loop goes through. Got it. We flip them over. Now we just do this. We slowly pull it tight and we take these 2 loops off our pin. And the first loop stays exactly where it was. Then this business, we tighten it and we end up with a loop the size of our pin. Here it is, our finished product. Here's the loop. That came out.
Our grandfathers used this kind of homemade tool. As you know, old people have poor eyesight, and so they came up with this great method.